Well, good morning, everyone. This is Lowell Ann. I'm the host of Being Your Own CEO, a mastermind hangout. And this is a bit of an experiment to see whether a mastermind where everyone comes in will really work with a hangout on air. Not sure about that. Anyway, I will introduce myself. Um, in my work style, lifestyle coaching work, I just love helping solo entrepreneurs find direction, stay motivated, and build systems that support and promote their business. And one support that I really like to emphasize for people is the Google Plus experience, as you might guess. Two places to begin are this mastermind hangout, Being Your Own CEO, and a three-part beginner for Google training program, which I do on a local basis as well. So I see I have two participants who have joined me. Nathan, you were here first, so how would you like to introduce yourself?
I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, everybody, all of you know me, and Larry knows me, so it's like, well, I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Well, but there are people on the outside listening that might like to know who you are.
Oh, well, um, I'm currently coming to you from Bucerias, Nayarit in Mexico. I've been working for the last 16 years as a freelance technical writer, mostly writing for magazines and doing work for corporations. My specialty is writing how-to manuals and tutorials. That's what I'm the best at. And my latest endeavor is a site called How to End Your Suffering, which shows people how to undo the thought patterns that cause suffering. That's pretty much it.
Thought patterns. They're so powerful, aren't they?
Yeah. To a point. When you start, I mean, it's kind of weird for me now because I just went through a major transformation about a month ago, and it radically changed everything to do with how I view what I'm doing and also what's on my site. So it's changed quite a bit.
So we both on a personal level and a business level, there is a constant evolution happening, isn't there?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
it doesn't stop, and sometimes, like what happened, like I said, a month ago, I was looking for a solution and I found one without even realizing what I had actually done, and I made a decision, and when that decision was made, it completely changed everything. And it was a huge change, a very big change.
Right on.
Oh yeah. So, but it also changed entirely the way that I view what I'm doing, and I finally realized that a lot of what I'm doing is about showing people how to think better, or how to think in ways that don't cause suffering. Whereas what I realized is that, and what became really clear is that the very act of thinking is what causes suffering. And if it was possible for people to disidentify from the stream of continuous thinking, or this idea that thinking is who we are, and we're able to literally stop thinking for long periods of time, then we would actually be able to experience what's underneath that, which is peace and stillness. And like when you're not thinking, guess what? You're not worried.
You're not suffering. Right.
You're not in any kind of emotional, mental pain at all. It's simply not there. There's just, you notice this field of stillness in yourself and everything around you, and there's peace and there's quiet and there's no suffering. And that's what happened.
Right. So Nathan, we can get into this a little bit more, but I feel a real need to acknowledge that Larry is here and to give him an opportunity to introduce himself.
Oh, good morning, Lolan. Morning, Nathan. I'm Larry Earnhardt. My business is Alchemy Business Consulting. I'm the profit mentor. I help people to make their businesses profitable and focus on profits. And that's what the book is about that I came out with not too long ago. called The Profit Machine, and it's come out in audiobook format as well. And I've given the offer to people, if they want to sign up on my website, I'll send you a free copy of the book until I run out of the freebies that I have available.
And I might like to share with everyone that I did take advantage of that, and I have started listening. And I just find it's really convenient. A convenient way to read a book is to have the audio part so that you can do something else while you're listening. That often happens to me. For example, if I've got some ironing to do, I hate ironing and it's boring. But if I can find something really interesting to listen to, the time goes by and it's done. So, but I haven't finished the book as yet, Larry. So my intention is to do a little bit of a review once I have finished the book. So, but I find myself running to find a piece of paper to jot down an idea that I've heard. One of them that stands out for me was rather than measuring outcomes, it's more effective to measure activities. And
That's right.
And I stopped and really thought about that and thought, you know, absolutely right. I mean, if we're going to have outcomes and success, we have to be doing something to make that happen. So I thought that was a real good nub there.
It was a epiphany for me, actually.
Me too.
Because it's the activities are what you have under your control. You know,
That's right.
You can't make somebody buy your product or your service. It's only the result of the things that you do to try to influence those decisions. So
that's true.
It's your inputs that make the difference, and the outputs are a result of that. And if you do it persistently, and if you do it well enough, then basically you'll generate sales, or you know whatever other activities or outcomes you're looking for. But you know this is based in a sales sense. But that was something that really helped me to understand how to be a salesman when I was taking sales training. Before I thought it was more in the realm of manipulation and trying to get people to buy stuff they didn't really want to buy. But part of it is understanding, matching people's needs up with a desirable product, and along with that is doing the activities that generate over time the sales that you need to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Larry, I just want to congratulate you on writing a book. I know how much work goes into doing one, and it's good to hear that you did do one.
Yeah. Thanks, Nathan.
Welcome.
I know you're a writer and you do a lot of writing, so
yeah,
you know, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's been my experience. I've done a few books now, and I know that a book is a big commitment.
Absolutely. So speaking of commitments, I promised in our little in my little descriptor of this morning's mastermind that we would talk about business cards. We touched on that a little bit last week, and I got thinking about that. And I know that I've written a blog post some time ago, which I will put a link to on the event page when we're done. But I guess what got me thinking and got me talking about this whole concept of business cards is that, well, I guess we all need to be thinking about how we market our business and so forth. And I remember attending a networking event and collecting up a whole bunch of business cards and then sitting down later and looking at all these cards and wondering to myself, okay, so now how am I going to follow up with this? What am I going to do with it? And that's when the frustration began. So
frustration about what?
Well, I found all kinds of things on people's business cards that really don't work. And that didn't work for me as a person who got the card. So, I mean, I think it's worthwhile for anyone who's going into business or who is in business to really think through why do you want to have a business card in the first place? What's its purpose? So, you got any ideas about that? What's the purpose of a business card?
It's a billboard for your company. It's a portable billboard.
Yeah, I'll second that one thing further. One of the things that I remember learning from Larry's course is something called the creation of a 10-second elevator speech, which describes your core purpose in business. And if you have that and you put that on a card, that will give the person who receives it something to remember. So to give you an example, like one that I created for myself, is I show frustrated business I show frustrated business owners how to position themselves as experts in any industry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a quick thing that you could put on a card like that, and when you do that, that's going to grab somebody's attention. That's what it's designed to do, and they look at it. Hopefully, after the fact, they'll go, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy,"
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully want to call me and do business with me.
But so it's a way to put your own profile up there in such a way. Any other ideas about what it's for?
Well, it's a way for people to be able to contact you.
Yeah.
So they'll have a way to contact you. You know, one of the things I've been working on is my CRM, and I came across one recently called Full Contact, that as part of your membership you get a free link to an app that allows you to take photos of your business cards and upload them directly as contacts.
Mm-hmm. So Larry, you probably need to translate CRM. Some of us will know it, but there may be some others who won't know.
Which is customer relationship management.
Right.
And usually nowadays it means a computer database that just keeps track of all your contacts.
Mm-hmm.
The more sophisticated ones will allow you to put in entries based on your what you've done with people, what you've what kind of appointments you have coming up, what's happened with those appointments, what your plans are, what kind of possibilities you have with them as far as being customers or vendors, or what you owe them, what they owe you, that sort of thing. Can be part of a whole enterprise resource management system.
So, and also to kind of keep track of where they are in your sales cycle. Yeah. So, so basically, I guess, so your business card allows you to to create a lasting impression. It tells people what it is that you do, sometimes even for whom you do it. And it tells people how to get a hold of you. And so one of the things that and I'll go to the piece that was frustrating for me. One of the things that I found was that on this whole group of business cards, I found that the how to contact that person varied so greatly. And it was always what was more convenient for the person whose business card it is, rather than for the user.
So can you elaborate? What does that mean?
Yeah. So in some cases, there was no phone number. In some cases, there was no email address. In some cases, there wasn't even a name. Only a business name. So I mean, there were just so many things that were there were oversights, possibly, but also more more about what's convenient for the person whose business card it is. I don't want to receive telephone calls, so I won't put my phone number here.
Great way to get no business.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I mean, if you think about your business card from a marketing perspective and from your prospective client's perspective, then that's going to change what you include and how you do it. So that was one of the first things that came up for me. So I came up with a list of absolute essentials that should be on every single business card. And the first one is your name. The next one would be your title and or your function and your business name. And maybe a tagline, something that says what you do. And your phone number, and your mailing address, and your website, and your email address. And then, and I know that there are some differences of opinion. One especially around mailing addresses for solo entrepreneurs who maybe are working out of a home office and don't really want to put an address out there. But there are ways around that. One way would be to get yourself a post box so that you can put a mailing address. But at a very minimum, you've either got to have an email address or a landline mailing address, one or the other at least as a minimum. But you don't always see that. So, and then I see some other things that might be sort of optional, but not bad. One of them is a QR code. Recognizing today that almost everything seems to be happening through mobile devices. The QR code is like a barcode that you see sometimes on products. It's a square item that allows people to point their phone to that QR code, and it links them up to your website. So that's one handy thing for people. Sometimes people might like to add a list of their products. It depends on your business. A lot of this, of course, maybe a list of the skills that you have that you want to market. Sometimes in certain industries, it's really important to put a picture. I've noticed that in the real estate industry, almost everybody puts a picture on their business card. So if it's important that people recognize you, then I guess you would do that. Let's see what else on my list here. I think that those are the basics, and of course they don't all have to be on the front of the business card, right? You've got two sides, you've got a little bit of real estate on both sides, so you want to make use of them really well. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, both of you, have you noticed any mistakes that drive you nuts on business cards?
Yeah, one in particular. Print that's so small that I need a magnifying glass to read it.
Yeah.
And I have really good close-up vision because I'm nearsighted, and even I can't read a lot of these things on cards. The second thing that goes with tiny print is poor contrast in color. So you'll have one where somebody uses a dark brown font against a medium brown background, which makes it almost impossible to read the lettering.
Right.
So
I
stuff
agree.
like that. It drives me right up the wall.
And you see them a lot.
This is true.
What about you,
people
Larry?
people try to get a little cutesy with these too, and
Yeah,
probably
bad
need a little
design.
bit more professional help in designing their cards. But yeah, using both sides is something that's really important. Um, and you know, you mentioned the tagline. You really should be looking in terms of it more as being your unique selling proposition
Yeah.
than just a tagline. It
Yeah,
should
agreed.
really tell people what it is that you're doing and ask them. You want people to ask, "Tell me more."
Mhm.
Yep.
When they see the card or when you first chat with them. So that initial contact should be getting people to say, "I want to know more about this because I'm
Mhm.
curious."
Yeah, that ties in actually to what I said earlier. I didn't refer to it as a USP, but that's actually what it is.
Mhm.
It's the core message, if you will, for what you do. And when you're really clear about it and you write it in a way that it's got a really good hook in it, then it inevitably attracts attention, or that's what you want it to do. Hopefully it'll attract the attention.
Mhm.
And but yeah, the USP is so important. And then the USP, like once you have it, then it really helps you in defining like your market and your pricing as well.
Mhm. Well, and what one of the frustrations that I found was um, people omitting their name and assuming that the business name is sufficient, so that you know, when you phone, you don't know who you should be asking for or whatever. So I mean, nobody really does business with a business. They do business with people.
Hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
they want to connect with an
Mhm.
individual person. And so you know, your name is really, really important. Um,
Yeah, I shouldn't have to feel like I have to write something else on the business card to identify the person.
right. So another one that drives me nuts, and this might have something to do with my own way of networking. But you know those plastic finishes and those really highly shiny finishes
Yeah, like my
that
card.
that don't allow you to write anything on them?
Like my card. Yes.
Is your card like that? Well, that drives me nuts. And
Yeah, actually, it was a bit
I'll
of a
tell you
mistake on
why.
my part, so it'll change the next batch.
I'll tell you why. So if I go to a networking event and somebody gives me a business card and we
Mhm.
have a meaningful conversation, chances are I might say to somebody, well, you know, I'd be happy to send you a link about that. Or I'd be happy to do whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. Well, I'm going to write on the back of that card or on that card somewhere that I promise to send so-and-so a link or whatever it is that I promised. So that facilitates my being able to follow up in a
Mhm.
meaningful way following the session. And so the if you can't write on it, then it's not much use. So that's one that drives me nuts. And Nathan, you mentioned oh yeah, those black things that have white print on them or whatever. Yep, there's lots of contrast, but if you've got a black business card, it doesn't allow you to write anything on it. And
Oh,
I really like to be able to do that.
Mhm.
well, there's another aspect to it too that a lot of people don't know. And if you were to look at a book like Confessions of an Advertising Man, David Ogilvy, he said never, ever use reverse type. And one of the major reasons for it is that it's hard to read.
Yes, absolutely. So, and then the critical contact information. Oh, using business names and business and logos that don't tell you anything. You know, there has to be something on the business card that tells you what that person is doing. So I often find that there is a name and there's a logo and there's a business name, but you still don't know what they do.
Yeah, that's really common. It, it's
So
it's more common than not, and and many times I've seen logos that bear, at least in my mind, no relationship to anything that the business seems to be about. It just seems to be like a piece of, sometimes it almost looks like a piece of bad clip art that somebody threw onto their card with the idea that it will
Yeah.
do something, actually come to think, but I'm guilty of that myself. But it's, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't help you with your message, it probably shouldn't be there. Unless you're adding a bit of design just to make it look a little bit nicer. I don't know. But if the logo detracts from your overall message, then I would say it shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Or it should be minimized so that it doesn't interfere. Because one of the problems, if you're looking at a business card or a piece of advertising, is when you get competing elements for attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, then you confuse the viewer, the user, with that kind of thing. And that's a major problem that so many people, that major mistake that so many people make.
Well, that goes back to just simple the branding.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
people need to really pay attention to their branding to begin with, and then and look at how the logo will appear when it's on a website, or will appear when it's on a business card, when it's made very small or very large as well. Does it represent me? Does it represent what I'm trying to convey? And again, sometimes we try to be cute, and being cute doesn't always work. So
more often than not, no.
And as you say, Larry, I mean, it might be cute here, but it doesn't translate over to other things. So that's a really, really important aspect that we probably should emphasize about branding, and that is that all of your branding needs to be consistent. What's on your website, your blog, your business card, your stationery, your rack cards, whatever means you are using, they all need to be consistent. And they all need to work on all the various mediums that you're going to use. So that's a really, really, really important piece. So another piece that really drives me nuts, and it drives me nuts not so much as a customer, but as a sadness about what I see lots of solo entrepreneurs doing, and that is handing out a pen-corrected business card. So, I've changed my address, or I've changed my email address, or I've changed my phone number. And people just correct, and the message that gives, of course, is that I'm financially struggling. And if you give that message, then the level of confidence goes down. The level of confidence in your ability to do what you're doing. So that's another one I find is really, really not a good idea. And another one that I often see is, homemade business cards. The Avery label type business card. They come, you print off a page at a time and pull them all apart. The quality of the paper tells you, gives another sort of message. And I have to admit, I've used that on occasion when I was stuck or just in a transition where I was waiting for the printers or whatever. Certainly one of those is better than not having a business card at all. It's the way I've always thought about it.
Yes, hopefully.
Well, you make a valid point about the Avery cards. I've used them quite a bit too, but I finally gave up and opted for getting professional-looking cards.
Yeah.
Because for part of the reason that you mentioned, there's a certain cheapness to them, which can be obvious. And if they're not printed correctly, it's easy to screw them up, I've discovered. So when you wind up printing 10, like maybe 2 are good and the rest are, well, garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry, you know what I'm talking about.
I've done it.
Yep, I could tell by your smile.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all done. We've all made some of these mistakes. which is why I thought it would be really useful to raise the question, is to kind of talk about that.
Mhm.
So I challenge everybody here who may be watching and listening to take your business card out and really look at it and decide, is it something that will communicate what you really want it to communicate, and to try to look at it from the perspective of the client that you're hoping to attract rather than from your own perspective. I think that that's a really good way to approach it. Now, making the best use of business cards is another aspect of our marketing, and sometimes I see I see some habits there that are pretty interesting to observe. One of them, I remember going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting one time, and this guy came in, and there were all kinds of little groups of people standing around talking, and he just went through that place, plastered the world with his business cards, and left. Never
You're
had a
kidding.
conversation with anybody. So
Oh,
I don't think that was a really effective way make use of your business card. However, when you're at a networking event, when you meet someone for the first time, you really let them off the hook if you give them your business card as you're introducing yourself. And so, because some people are both visual and audio, so if they hear your name and they also see it, that helps them. So that's a really useful thing to remember to do. And I see we have somebody new with us. Kristen, how would you like to introduce yourself?
whoa! Something serious is happening to your sound.
I think you'll have to stay.
Oh, she just dropped out.
Yeah. Something wasn't working very well there, was it?
No, the sound card was gibbled.
Kristen, your sound didn't come across well.
Is it better now?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
There we go. Much better.
Before you sounded like a mutated version of who only knows what.
Yeah, it's really strange. My computer tends to do that the first time, like when I had to reboot to get rid of the Trojan. Then, yeah, the first time I got into a Hangout, it always does that.
Oh. So, would you like to introduce yourself to the others?
Sure. In what context?
Are you in business?
Well, I'm at the beginning of getting into business.
Mm-hmm.
I work for Wheel Media, and Christopher House is the CEO. We work with Wade Harmon and Dustin Stout.
So what type of business is that?
It's media publications and digital publications.
I see. So digital publications, does that include business cards? Because we're talking about business cards here.
Well, gosh, I don't know, because I'm at the assistant side of it, and so I haven't seen all the many facets.
I see.
I didn't know that this was a live hangout when I clicked on it. I just always want to grab the chance to meet new people on the plus. So I saw the invitation, so I clicked on it.
Oh, well, that's good. So as you can see, both Larry and I have a lower third, so that might be that where our name and our business is listed. That might be something that you might like to look into so that other people can see your name. So I see that you are Kristen, but I don't see what your last name is.
Let's see. Well, okay. So this is my round table, lower third. So I'm gonna put on my wheel one. Might help.
Oh, yours is up at the top.
Yeah. So yeah, you have special graphics. How'd you do that?
Dennis Deuce. There. This is my normal lower third.
Oh, that's your lower third. Oh, right on. Okay. So we're just about coming to our end here, Kristen. So I do hope that you'll take the chance and come and join us again. But just before we finish, I really was hoping that we would talk about the effective use of our business cards a little bit more. And so one that stands out for me that I just mentioned was giving it to someone as you're introducing yourself so that they get to see the visual as well as to hear. And I find that some of you may not have the same problem. As you see, I have a very unusual name that drives everybody, and me, including me, crazy. So I always hand out a business card when somebody asks me my name, how to spell it, or whatever. It doesn't matter where. I use the business card to mail them out and make it easier for them. And when I go to any kind of other business, if it's retail or whatever, I give them my business card. And I also post my business card in places where I know my clients might hang out. And one really successful place for me was to put it on the bulletin board at the YMCA because I was swimming there. And there's a bulletin board there, and put my card there and receive calls from people. So it's, there are lots of little creative places where you can put your business card. And sometimes I've even tried putting a cup hook with my business cards that I've used to put a hole punch and just hung a group of business cards on the cup hook where people can actually take their own copy of your business card away. So it depends on where you're doing it and what kind of a business you do and so forth. So Larry, what about you? Can you think of any creative places where you might use your business card?
Good question. Let's see. And I've stuck it indoors when I used to go knocking on people's doors when I was with Edward Jones, if they weren't home. So that's probably about as creative as I've gotten.
My son was looking for work in a certain place, and he created a business card, and he went through a parking lot and put his business card on all of the dashboards, and got a few calls as a result of it. And I see, Kristen, you've added universities are a great place. Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah, sure. A lot of times students are, they're coming towards the close of their education, their formal education, and are looking for either businesses to help them get their business going or to join onto a business or apprentice. So universities are a great place to put your business cards. Students are so thirsty to look for that.
Yeah, right on. I think that's and of course a lot of what we're saying depends on the kind of business that you have, of course, for sure. But there's one last thing that before we close that I think we're going to find a few more frustrations around, and that is if the fonts that are used on business cards don't scan very well. And Larry, I think it was you that sort of alluded to that. There are a number of scanning programs that work with your cell phone, where you can take a picture of somebody's business card and upload it. I think there's one that I use with Evernote, and it will automatically upload and connect to that person's link in LinkedIn. So it's important to look at the layout and the way your business card is done to ensure that those kinds of scans work really well. So, and because we are becoming more and more and more of a mobile world, we need to pay attention to those things as well. So, I'm looking at my time. Oh my goodness, we're way over. So,
I
I
thought
think
it used to be an hour long. You've changed to a half-hour format?
I kind of thought that from a Hangout on air perspective that it probably should be shorter.
Oh, okay.
So,
I was wondering, I'm going, wait a second. Something changed. Hey, I didn't get the memo.
well, this is as I may have said or did say earlier, this is a bit of an experiment. We used to do this as just a drop-in Hangout. And I had some feedback from a number of people that said, gee, I really wish you would do it as a Hangout on air so I could drop in and take and at least listen in if I'm unable to participate. So this is an experiment which may evolve. So, but I'm thinking, since I did say that we are 30 minutes, we were going to be 30 minutes and we're over. So I will now say thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Low. And have a very successful business time, and we'll talk to you again next week.